Let's start with a box. We're going to do box modeling technique for this DVD. So edge loop split right here. Select half the faces of the box, delete them. Now go into duplicate, -1 scale in the X, not a copy but an instance, and hit apply. Now you can move around one point on one side and it'll mirror on the other side, so you have basically a negative instance. Let's go into start sculpting. I'm going to use the front and side views to primarily block in the shapes of the overall body. First start off by doing the torso, upper torso. Now I'm going to do an edge loop split to the center here. Move the points down a bit. Now I'm going to select the bottom face, extrude that down, and that'll be the pelvis, or the area where the pelvis will be. Just get the basic form of it, line it up with the background image, move around the points a little. Very important to use your reference. I'm just going to edit the points a little in the front view here. I'm going to pull in the points on the bottom polygon I extruded, and that'll enable me to extrude the leg out from the side. Now I'm going to extrude this face and start off the upper part of the leg, thigh area. I'm going to switch to scale mode now and flatten that polygon out at the bottom that I just extruded. Widen it out a little bit. Now I can start extruding down the leg. It's very important that you edit your mesh as you go while you're extruding or adding any kind of geometry. That allows you to have your shapes there instead of having to go back and do all of that later. Edit as you go. That'll be much easier. Extrude down again. We're going to make the upper part of the leg. Scaling also helps for modeling. Just extrude again. Rotate ever so slightly. That'll give you the knee area. We're going to extrude one more time. Well, not really one more time. We're going to extrude many times. You're going to hate extruding by the time this is done, or love it. Another extrude down, and that'll be down to the ankle area of the foot. And move it around and line it up to the image planes. Extrude down one more time, and this will be the heel of the foot. Oops. Let me frame that back into place. Now let's grab the front face right in front of the heel where we extruded and extrude that forward, and we're beginning to create the foot here. One more extrude for the foot, and that's all the basic blocking geometry of the foot we need for now. Just move a couple of points, line it up to the images better. Let me click into the perspective here. I'm going to need to add one more edge loop through the center of the chest here. That'll allow me to extrude the arm out from the shoulder area. I'm going to extrude outward here, and that'll create the shoulder, and we're eventually going to extrude the arm out of the bottom of that box we just extruded. But first, let me select the top face. I'm going to extrude up, switch to scale mode, hit insert, and snap to the center here, and that way I can scale in right at the center part. And we're going to create the basic top part of the bottom of the neck here. And now I'm going to just move around points, line up to the side view as best I can with the geometry I have. And we don't have a lot of geometry. And I'm going to select the face at the top and extrude that up for the neck. One more extrude, well, two more extrudes. One more will take us halfway up the head. And I'm going to select the face on top there. Well, let me look in the side view here and just scale it. And now I'm going to extrude up to the top of the head. I'm going to move around the points to line it up to the side view. Now I'm going to select the front faces and extrude those out for the front of the head. Move around the points, line it up. Always use your reference to get the shape of the head right, or the body, or whatever you're working on at that given moment. So we've got the basic blocking geometry of the head there. Now I'm going to go into the front view and just round it out just a little bit. Tweak the neck, move the shoulders up a bit, just to line it up a little better to the image planes in the background. Next, let's look at what we have and extrude the arm down. Extrude once for the bicep area, the upper arm, and then extrude one more time for the elbow area, basically. A little bit of geometry, give it a little bend there. One more time for the high point of the forearm, and work our way down to the wrist with the last extrude. I only built the arms downwards so I could match up the proportions of the image. Now I'm just going to move around some of these points and line it up better. A little blocky, but that's okay. It'll change as we keep going. I'm going to move the pivot point up and rotate the arm up, because we're going to make it in arm stretched out position for better rigging. Move around the points here, scale them, move them back. Now what I'm going to do is something interesting, where I'm going to, first let's extrude the basic wrist area, small little area for the wrist. Now I'm going to select all these faces and rotate them 45 degrees forward, because we want to have 90 degrees total from the elbow to the wrist for rotating the hand down. That's half of it. Now grab the wrist area, rotate it an additional 45 degrees. So when you do create the hand, the geometry and topology flows in a twist down towards the hand. Now I'm just going to move around some points, and arms looking a little wide from the top-down view. I'm just going to push those forward a little bit, and that's our blocking model before we add more detail. Now I'm going to do an edge loop down the center of the arm that's going to carry through the legs and side of the torso. I'm going to do another edge loop through the arm that's only going to carry through the top of the arm and over the shoulder. The next edge loop is going to be down the center of the torso. I'm going to edge loop here, and it's going to go through the pelvis and above the top of the head, and one edge loop through the leg, and it'll only carry through the bottom of the feet and down back the other side of the leg. Now that I've added all these edge loops, it's very important to round out the forms of the body. You've added geometry, so that requires you to shape it. You can't leave it the way it is, because it'll be too blocky. If you don't round the shapes out now, it'll come back and haunt you towards the end, because you'll add a lot of geometry, you'll detail out the model, and you'll realize it's too boxy looking. Every time you add an edge loop or an extrude, shape the model, round out the surfaces. It's very important. I can't stress this enough. So we're going to round out the legs you saw. Now round out the torso a little. I like to push the points as far as possible with the geometry I have before I decide to add any more geometry. Once I can't push the points any further, that's when I add more geometry. And that's what you should aim to do too. With poly modeling, you can be very efficient and have optimized models if you plan ahead and try to get the forms before you get to the details. So I'm just tweaking around, rounding out the forms of the shoulders. And now going to the head, rounding out the shape of the head a little bit. We can't do much. We can't really, it doesn't really matter for us to align it up to the background and front and side images. We're just rounding out the form. It's not necessary to do front and side views also while we're working.